be geeking out about a project we have begun this past fall. And it's using booklets for library instruction classes to walk students through the research process. So what we're going to do today is you're going to see in this breakout session how this booklet project works by actually doing the booklet project. We're going to be using the exact same style booklets that we use with our students, and a lot of times it's going to be the exact same format that we use when we are talking to students. I'm sure there's questions that are going to come up. If you guys wouldn't mind, at the end just hold them. We're going to give you lots of time for questions and answers.
Okay, so if you open up your booklets to the first insight page, it's called Guided Analysis. We can just jump right in. So in this section, we usually have students reflect on their research assignment and their topic. So what are they being asked to do? How does their assignment tie into what they are doing in their class throughout the entire semester? How does this project tie into the bigger picture of their lives and their educations and what they hope to get out of their experiences at UMass Boston? Are there any special assignment or specific requirements, such as a citation style that they need to be applying and using consistently, or do they need to find a certain number of sources? Are they allowed to use popular sources, or must they stick with scholarly sources? Do they need empirical research, or do they need primary sources? It's just an opportunity for them to kind of collect all of their requirements, put it all in one place so that they don't overlook anything and then make a major error later, like using MLA style instead of APA or something. Okay, so what we would like for you to do in the next minute or two is just reflect on why you chose to attend this particular breakout session. So we'd also like you to begin thinking about the activities, teaching tools, programs, and workshops that your library offers. So what are the ones that you find the most beneficial or that you enjoy? Which ones do you find most interesting? Which ones maybe have the highest attendance rates? Just take a minute to really brag about what your library does and does well, and just write it down for yourself in the next 2 minutes.
So on the next side, we get to from the guided analysis on page 2, we begin the analogy of a research assignment being a lot like a photograph. So we tell them that the professor has given them an assignment, which is kind of like a blurry picture. You have to figure out what it is that is supposed to be in this picture, and then what are you going to do in response to it. With the younger students, we often tell them it's a lot like a Snapchat, where you take a picture, caption it, send it, and somebody sends one back. So you have to think about what is your professor sending to you in Snapchat or as a photo, and what are you sending back to them. So okay. So we've left some space on the page for you to, just kind of collaborate with your neighbors and talk and brainstorm and share some of your favorite, most used instructional activities with each other, and maybe even start brainstorming things that you could take and try out in your own libraries. This is under that next page on hashtag guided brainstorming activities. So that's the space for you to write this down. If you want to just take a few minutes, brag about it with people nearby. But now we're going to show you one of ours. And for those people that just came in, Iris ran downstairs to try to get some more of these printed. So more booklets are coming. We didn't expect this many people, which is totally awesome. Okay, so for this next activity, we're going to show you one of our favorite ones that we do with our students. And we are going to do it exactly like we do with the students, which means congratulations, you're all back in school. All right. Okay, literally, this is exactly how I present this to students. So you know how when you Google something, you can literally ask it a real question like nouns, verbs, pronouns, punctuation, and you can get an answer? My personal favorite is, what should I have for lunch today? The second result is called Wheel of Lunch. You enter your zip code, and it'll tell you what to eat for lunch. But in that example, I asked Google a question, and it more or less gave me an answer. Our databases, they don't work like that. You have to do the legwork for them. So you have to pull out what are short, descriptive phrases or words that tell the databases what you're searching. In academia, we call it a keyword. You probably know it as a hashtag. How many of you know hashtags? Awesome. What is a hashtag? If I hashtag something with CTLA Conference 2015 and take a photo of this room, what's going to come up when I search for that hashtag? The photo of this room? Awesome. So what we're going to do is have you guys show off a little tiny bit, get this brain going. I'm going to split the room. So if you are from here over, you are in a group. I'm giving you a photograph and a stack of Post-it notes. Y'all are going to join with this side and then split the table on that side and that side. All right, so with this photograph, you will go going to pretend that you're posting this on your favorite social media site, any one you want. And I want you to come up with as many hashtags in 2 minutes as you can. These can be whole phrases. These can be whole phrases. We're going to have big words. Actually, I have enough. Here we go. This side. Okay. We'll do it. Yep. So this one's all one team. Okay. And I'm going to make you guys all one team. I have enough photos. You're with it. Hashtag you love me. Okay, here are the rules. Here are the rules. Here are the rules. Every game has rules. Every game has rules. Here's the rule. You can put anything you want that you have to be willing to say in front of the videotape. Okay? That is the rule. Anything you want that you're willing to say on videotape. We tell the students anything you're willing to say in front of the rest of the class. Also, you have about 2 minutes. When you're done, pick your top 5. I'm going to broadcast the pictures and we're going to talk about them. So you're going to share your top 5. They can be funny, like actually what's in the photograph, get creative and have some fun. All right? Go on ahead. 2 minutes. Hashtag away. All right. You have your top 5. All right. Okay, look up here. Which group has this picture? Oh, we do. What's your top 5? Go ahead. What are your top 5?
We have flying high.
Flying high.
Not a care in the world.
Not here in the world.
Because there's 5
Colorful.
Okay.
Hot air balloon.
All right.
And clear blue sky.
Nice. Well done.
Yeah. All right. Now moving on.
Thanks, group. All right. What are your all's hashtag?
Here's my flash drive. Apparently that's based on personal experience. In too deep, laundry fail, spare change, and my dryer ate my homework.
Nice. Which group had this one? All right. What did you get?
lonely seats,
Oh, good.
half empty. Big windows.
Okay.
Graduation.
Woohoo! Yeah. Graduation. All right.
All right.
Which group had this one? Awesome. What were your top 5?
All right, so we had beach therapy, just chilling, lost glasses, low tide, and got sunglasses.
All right. Which group had this one?
We did.
All right.
We had Needle in the Haystack. We had Inaccessible Library. Library Porn. Lone Yellow Book. And Stacks to Nowhere.
Wonderful. That's great. You guys did a wonderful job. Give yourselves a round of applause. So what we do with this one is we have the students do this first, and then we have them look at a section which parallels with y'all's hashtag brainstorming activities. On theirs it usually says guided brainstorming. And we have them work as a group to hashtag their research assignment. For some reason, if we have them do this activity first and say hashtags are a lot like keywords, all of a sudden they can do it. And they are like, all right, this is awesome. So they're a lot more confident with coming up with keywords for some really obscure topics that they might not have been able to do 5 minutes before.
And then they jump in, they help each other come up with more keywords. It's really great.
It is a lot of fun. It's really fun to see them get interested in it. Okay, on to the plethora of projects. This is going to be a fun little list. So in y'all's, it's a list of special requests, different ways that we've made this booklet. Let me point out that on the table are tons of these. Please take them. If you want examples, we brought as much of our extras as we can possibly, carry with us. You're more than welcome to take as many as you'd like. They are for different subjects, for different things. Some of them are even on that list. I think there's a reference one in there to primary sources. So we're using it for a lot of different projects. So while you're looking over those and looking over the list of, while you're looking over those and looking over the list of special requests that we had, we also want to share with you how many projects we've actually compiled into this one little booklet. You think it would be simple, but we managed to fit 6 projects in this one thing. So the first one is a TV pilot episode project. We've scripted this class. So in order to keep students' attention and to maximize the on-your-own learning time, we sit down and script every class. We have adopted a framework similar to that of a sitcom. On sitcoms, they have 30 minutes. With commercials, that averages about 22 minutes, so we try to get our talking done in 22 minutes or less. I think the record is 17.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of our librarians did it in 17 minutes. So this means that we're talking for about 22 minutes, and in a 50-minute class, the students get almost half an hour to work on their research, and you get half an hour to walk around and handle those individual questions. The transitions are usually what we script word for word, as opposed to just a more general outline. This helps us go through the booklet seamlessly, and also it's bailed us out a couple of times when we were stuck on the T and another librarian had to fill in for our class.
Yeah, just think back to this past winter with all the snow and all of the disasters that could happen because of that. We definitely missed some of our 8 o'clock in the morning classes. Not through our own fault, but...
And another librarian came in and was able to teach our class
without having even seen the material before.
This was one of our pilot classes too. That was really early. Like now everybody uses it. And yeah, it was really early. So you have the next project.
Okay, so the next project that we've kind of been working on that we funneled into this booklet is what we call no demo. That's what we're not doing. And so we kind of pretty early on started experimenting with the idea of what would happen if we just got rid of doing actual search demonstrations. Is that possible? And will students actually be able to still go to the computers and actually perform and, successfully find things? And so basically we've adopted the idea of not demonstrating at all. And what we do instead is we will just pull up screens that's, here is what the homepage of whatever database we're looking at it looks like. This is where you would type in your search terms or keywords that you came up with. And then we pull up a sample results page and just, point out all the features on that. So it's more just kind of like us talking through a handout that we would have made, with screenshots with arrows pointing at certain things that you can look at.
We will do navigation, like how do you get to this database, but we don't sit there and do 4 or 5 different searches for them.
Right, we don't demonstrate the search for them. We show them just enough to get them to a point where they can do it all themselves.
And we also point out the site features and the email to yourself, especially if it's an EBSCO database. And we also make sure that they know where more keywords are on the screen. We're like, hey guys, look, hashtags. To help them think of some more things once they find an article they kind of like.
And then we just let them go from there. If we notice that they're floundering, we'll maybe talk a little more.
But our demo is not our go-to.
Right. Okay, so our third project is what we kind of affectionately refer to as modular instruction. Why does that kid get to have all the fun? So this booklet, as you've seen from the many examples on the table, the booklet was designed to be easily adaptable and while still retaining its same basic inherent structure. So there are several ways to mix and match and still be focused on the ACRL Information Literacy Framework and also still aligned with our learning objectives. So as you may or may not have seen from all the samples on the table that we brought in, these booklets have been used in classes with all levels of students from your first semester freshman 101 to grad students. It's been taken to conferences. Yeah, our boss actually took it to ACRL this past couple months ago, and it was actually tweeted that that was a great handout. So that was kind of neat. What else? We're actually now beginning to kind of experiment with using it in our reference work.
All right, so the next one is the recap videos. So the tagline for this is, can you handle the cheese? What we do is we started using iMovie, either the app on the iPad or the app from the Mac store, and we started experimenting originally with using iMovie trailers to introduce what we were doing with the students. Didn't really work that well, but we still felt it had a place as far as not maybe the overview of class. So then we started experimenting with using it to kind of punctuate different search or different criteria that students were supposed to be learning. So this one is for archives and primary sources, and it's used to explain what an archive and primary source is. There's the sound. Hold up. Sorry. Sound problem. This works. There we go. This class was also around Halloween. That's great. clearer. So after we started using it as just kind of a pull-out or a punch-up for specific concepts that students were supposed to learn, we started using it as a recap video. So we tell the students they can either listen to us try to recap what we did for 4 minutes, or they can sit through a minute or less of pure cheese. And I'm not kidding, these are really cheesy. So can you guys handle a minute of absolute cheese? Yeah. Awesome. This one's really bad. And by bad, I mean funny.
We kind of love it.
As you might notice, I do have one for this class, and you guys are going to see one that we made yesterday.
Yeah.
Brand new. And the last one we want to talk about is the hashtag keywords. I already kind of went over this before, but we've noticed that when you start describing keywords as being similar to hashtags, even if you just make that analogy, all of a sudden the light bulbs seem to go on, especially for the younger crowd. A lot of our students might be in a little bit of an older category, non-traditional students, but they even know what it is from hearing their kids use it. And even if we do have a couple who don't know, everybody else at their table is like so excited to tell them what a hashtag is and what it does. So
yeah, it builds confidence, gets them very comfortable with, transferring these skills to actual research and, things that will help them get along in school. Okay, so the last thing that we have, for those of you that have them, those two inserts that we asked you to pull out from the very beginning, you can open those up.
If you do not have them, our email addresses are on the front. Please email us and I will send you the PDF.
Yeah, so we actually have an extra set of inserts if anyone's interested.
Wonderful.
And if you don't have one, you can just look over your neighbor's shoulder. We're all friends in here, right? And so we call this bragging rights, and basically it's just a little mini assessment that we kind of divide and then split into two separate things because we realized that our original insert form was kind of trying to do too much all at once.
So the first form is about finding resources, and this one we asked the students to tell us a little bit about their search strategies and then take a look at their results. If they found something, why do they think their search was successful? If they're not sure, if they're in that kind of, maybe this might work, what reservations do they have and what do they think they need? And if no, why didn't it work? Do you have an idea of what didn't work for this particular topic?
Yeah, so it just gives them an opportunity to kind of reflect on, if they did something and it went really well, they can kind of brag and show off. And if not, they can take some time, reflect, and see how they might, do it differently next time.
It also helps them if they need to bring it to their professor or schedule a follow-up with us to have some idea of why it might not be working or why it didn't.
Right, we've actually shared the forms that students have filled out and submitted back to us with their professors so that the professors could help them with researching their paper topics before. So.
Or sending them to us.
Yeah, so people tend to find them kind of useful. And then the second one focuses on evaluating sources. And so, once you found a source or two or three, how do you know it's any good and will maybe be something that will help you, complete your assignment? And what we've done is we've basically started with the same set of questions from the finding sources version of bragging rights, and then it kind of splits off and starts asking them questions about how did they evaluate the source that they found. And so it's a very, very, very modified version of the craft test, which you may or may not be familiar with. We at UMass Boston just call it the craft detector because we think it's funny. But basically, we also, on many of the handouts or that we use with our students, that we have a fuller version of the craft test or the craft test. And so this looks somewhat familiar to them, but it's ever so slightly different.
So before we get into the part of the class where we're going to let you, on the back, if you've noticed this, it says design your own, and there are 3 slots. After I show you this video, we're totally going to let you just have at it and start designing. If you want to pick our brains, we're here. If you notice, I did not include the front page. I'm imagining that you're going to want to design a front page with like your library logo or something. So instead of having to doodle that, you get to, do the fun stuff. So this is page 2, the inside pages, and then the back page. But before we turn you loose, and you're more than welcome to ask questions during that time as well. Before we turn you loose, I have one last one
To recap
what we've talked about today. So this last part we tried to give examples that are not necessarily an academic library adaptability, because we do realize that some of you might be public libraries or special collections. So if you have any questions, we are more than happy to take them, or if you just want to dive right in and start designing your own, you're welcome to do that too.
All those videos were made for iMovie?
Yes.
Yeah. How long did it really take you guys to do them?
For the very first time, we downloaded it, like the printout for the screen so you can plan it in advance. We filmed all of that in a day, including the Photoshops. But it took me a while to get the edit, like just to put it in, because at first I noticed that some of them were like this and some of them were like this. It was driving me nuts, so I had to go back and edit it. But it doesn't take too long. Yeah.
Have you guys built any sort of assessment into this?
We use the bragging rights and the finding resources kind of as a beginning assessment. We're working to find a more like quantitative as opposed to qualitative, but we're using that for qualitative right now.
Yeah, that's an ongoing topic. We're trying.
We're here.
Have you had any faculty who really wanted you to demo and have like put you on the spot? So can you try this? Like, can you put those in? Do some of them still kind of want that traditional sense of doing it, or they kind of just roll with it?
So they usually come to us when they say, hey, can you meet with my class and, teach them how to use, for example, PsycInfo. They always say, can you demo this for them? And we say, well, we have this way that we kind of do things, and we make it very clear to them from the very initial contact that, we have our own way of doing things, hopefully you're comfortable with that. And we give them, plenty of time to give their input and feedback, and we draft up a booklet for their class, and we send it to them and say, this is what we're thinking about doing with them, anything you have to say about this is greatly appreciated. And for the most part, it's been fine. I mean, especially since we pull up the screens and say, here's where you would do this and where you would do this.
If there are hiccups, if we notice that students are having problems, or if the professor really does just want us to show more in-depth features, we will do it.
Yeah.
It's just not our go-to thing.
Right.
And we do send the booklets out. There's several Psych 201s over here. They're all different because we would just show like one Psych 201 professor be like, here's what we did for another class. What changes would you like? And they'll tell us like, oh, we like this. Can you move this around? One of the professors asked if we could make it a little bit more generic instead of like for a specific assignment. So.
Right. And we actually have adapted the first insight page to correlate for classes that are coming in, but they don't necessarily have a paper assignment or anything that they're working on at the time, which we tend to recommend that maybe plan your library visit around an assignment so that there's a sense of urgency. They're going to get something they need out of it, but that doesn't always happen, as you all probably know. So we just change it to give them an opportunity to reflect on, what topics and themes within the course that they're taking interest them that they would maybe want to explore more, and then we just work with those.
We had to do a lot of that after everybody was playing catch up in the fall semester. So a lot of it was like, hey guys, take a few minutes to look at your syllabus. What interests you that's coming up?
Yeah, so like in February, because we lost so much class time, there was a lot of just, what interests you? Like, take a look at your syllabus. Like, what things were kind of jumping out at you? What would you maybe want to spend the rest of this class today looking at?
Yes,
You said you started this in fall 14?
this past fall. Both of us have been here 8 months at UMass Boston. We're from different schools.
And how has the progression gotten to this point? Did you have some spectacular failures along the way, or was it all been sunshine and roses?
I got there about a month before Iris did, and I started using a booklet with a business class that I was teaching because it was really specific. They wanted like Mergent and all these market caps and really in-depth research. And then it moved from the business class, like just, here guys, when you go home, this is exactly what we did. Worked to a class with English as their second language. And so I did it again with another really more like screenshots, kind of pamphlet like a walkthrough as opposed to a booklet. And then we had a critical reading and writing class that came in, and the professor wanted much more hands-on activities. So because of that class and the emails that we exchanged with this professor, the very first booklet came about. And then ever since then, it's just been communicating with the professors. What would you like? Here's what we're thinking. What do you want changed? So,
Been a really big hit with critical reading and writing, or English, especially the writing and research essay writing classes.
the psychology classes have gone over really well, especially when it's the intro to research methods class. And they have to focus in a little bit more on research methodology and specific keywords for empirical studies. It's still growing.
Yeah.
I don't know if we've had any when I was doing the original booklets with the screenshots, I had some spectacular failures, but since CRW, I don't think we've had snags, but I wouldn't say failures.
Yeah. Stumbles here and there.
It's a work in progress. Any other questions?
So this section with the bragging rights, is this something that you hand out separately, or is this going to be included in the booklet?
Usually what we do, depending on if we have time or if the professor is, wants that information or wants us to try that information, that is actually new to this spring semester. We'll fold it in just like we did with y'all's classes, or with y'all's booklets, and have them pull it out and then answer it the last 5 minutes of class when they think that they might have found an article. And that has also recently been adapted from the one that we had where it was too much in one booklet. So this is very new. We're showing you new stuff.
Yep.
Just clarifying, did you say you collect, this is part of your assessment, so?
We take the bragging rights, so we'll take these, and that's why they don't have, there's no space for names. We ask them not to put their names on it, so they just fold it and leave it on a desk. We have no idea who the students are, and we just write down what the questions were for the professor and then send him a list of if there were comments, if there were, how many checked this box, how many checked this box.
Yeah, and then for some professors, we've actually scanned the actual forms themselves and just sent them a big bundle of PDFs.
So it usually goes back so the professor can see what's happening?
Yeah, if they request it, we're more than happy to share.
Did you ever do something that the students can use for their own self-assessment, for their own reflection?
We should do that.
We should.
That's a really good idea.
That's a really great
Pretty new
suggestion.
part. The booklet has been around for a while, but the assessment part is currently a work in progress, but you just gave us a great idea.
Yeah.
Thank you. Any other questions? All right, well, you are more than welcome to dive in and design your own booklet. We're going to leave the rest of the time for that. And if you have questions, we'll be walking around or meandering.